Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you're here for the first time, especially from TikTok, this is a big warm welcome to you. So if you don't already know me, my name is Kristen Grace. I am an aspiring actress who is living in New York City. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much to all of my TikTokers that are here for the first time and for all of the love and support and attention I was getting on this video. I honestly had no idea that it was gonna blow up the way that it did. You guys made me feel so special, so thank you. A lot of you guys have been DMing me and asking me in the comments kind of my story, how did I get to where I am now, and a lot of beginner actors that are like, how do I start, what's the next step for me, where do I begin? Oh, this is my kitty, by the way. So yeah, this video is to answer all of those questions and we're gonna get started right now. I'm gonna start out with my story. Just like many of you who are watching now, I knew that I always wanted to do acting from a very young age. Literally, my very first memories are me acting around the house and performing for my family, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. So I always knew that I wanted to be an actress my entire life. And fortunately, I have really supportive parents. I know that's not the case for everybody, but my parents have always supported me to pursue my dreams and to fight for what I want in life and to never give up. My very first experience in acting came from church theater, school theater as in middle school, high school, community college, and then local theater. That's all I had. I knew that I wanted to be an actress in film and television, but I personally started out doing theater because that's all I had around me. I'm from a really small town in Florida, so there's just not much opportunity at all, and that was my only outlet, and that's what I did. And to me, experience is experience. I always say any experience is a good experience. So at 19, I did a year of community college. I really didn't have a major. I think I was just majoring in liberal arts. And then all of my elective classes were theater, musical theater, and just anything acting related. My parents, like I said, have always been supportive of me in acting, but they always told me at the time that they wanted me to finish school and get a degree and then pursue acting. So that's what I was doing. I faithfully did a year of community college. And then after that year, I was like, what am I doing? I'm just wasting my time. Like, I know that I want to pursue acting. There's nothing else in the world that I want to do. And I'm wasting my time, my youth, and my ability in something that is not going to open any doors for me, really, you know? I sat down with my parents and I was just very blunt and honest with them. I was really scared what they were gonna say because even though they've always supported me, they're also very strict. And so I was really scared when I sat them down, but I was like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I have to try. I can't not ask. So, like I said, I asked them and they listened to me and they actually were like, okay. And I was like, what? Okay, so I want to move to either New York or LA. And they were like, well, we prefer New York just because it's a little bit closer to us. We kind of know New York a little bit. And I was like, okay, great, I'll take it. I will take it. What we agreed on at the time, I think this was in July of 2014. And we agreed, my parents and I, that a year from now, so we were aiming for July of 2015, that I was gonna move to New York and we were gonna take this year to prepare, to plan, to save money, just to have everything set in stone that we need for this move. And we were gonna take this time to do that. My dad told me to look up 3 acting schools that I would be interested in going to because they felt more comfortable in me going to school instead of just blankly just moving to New York at 19 years old, not knowing anybody, not knowing anything, just moving there. So that was the agreement, that if I moved to New York City, that I would go to an acting school. So I did my research. I chose out my top 3 schools. The school that I ended up going to is called the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. I applied to 2 other schools, although I don't really remember what they are at the top of my head. That month in 2014, I set up 3 appointments with these 3 different schools. My dad and I flew up to New York to go to these auditions. And so my very first audition was at NYCDA. I don't really remember the audition process. I kind of blacked out. But from what I can remember, they asked me to do 2 contemporary contrasting monologues. So at my very first audition, I remember signing in. I was taken upstairs into a waiting room, and one by one, actors would come in and out auditioning. And so I was waiting probably like 45 minutes until it was my turn. And then sure enough, they called my name and my heart is like in my chest. I'm so nervous, but I was more excited than anything. I was taken into this large room, and it looked like a dance room because there was like a wall of mirrors and there was, you know, the bars and all that. So it was this giant empty room, and there's only one woman sitting at the very end of it, sitting in a chair. I go in there and I say my name, and it's like echoing because it's like that quiet. She was just very just quiet, and like you can tell that she's seen so many people already, and she's just like, okay, you can start whenever you're ready. And I was like, okay. So I did my 2 pieces. Like I said, I blacked out because I was just so nervous. So I finished both of my monologues, and it was just complete silence. Like she was just sitting there staring at me like, and I was like, okay, so she hates me? I'm not getting in, like, okay, what's happening? I was just awkwardly standing there kind of like rocking back and forth and like twiddling my thumbs like, okay, like do I go or should I stay or what do I do, you know? And then she was just like, I loved it. I love that. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, like she called me closer. She's like, come here, let me talk to you. And so then I pulled up a chair. We were sitting face to face. Little did I know that she was the founder of the school. Her name was Joan C. She passed away a few years ago, but her name was Joan C. And she was the founder of the school. And I had no idea. Thank God I didn't know, because I probably would have blacked out like even harder. We sat down face to face. We talked about my pieces. She gave me advice on what I did and like choices that I made. And so we were just getting to know each other. It was just pretty much an interview process. She was like, so if you make it into the school, like when would you want to come? Like, are you looking to start the semester, fall semester, summer semester? Like, what are you looking for? And I told her, I was like, oh, well, I'm probably looking for the fall of next year, 2015, because I want to take time to save money and prepare and plan and all of that. And then she was like, I want you to come now. Yeah, I want you to come now for this semester. And I was like, well, I'm not ready. Like, that's in like 3 weeks. And she's like, no, like I really want to see you here. I'll help you get here. Whatever you need, I'm gonna help you. She's like, I really want to see you here at this school. So do whatever you can to be here. And I was like, okay. I left the room pretty much flying. I was like on cloud 9, like, ah, my dreams are coming true. So I told my dad, and he was like, okay, let's make it happen. And I was like, okay, let's make it happen. My dad has always told me that I need to strike when the iron is hot, and baby, the iron was hot. Within 3 weeks, I packed my entire life into 3 suitcases, and before I knew it, I was moving from Florida to New York City at age 19. Again, I know not everyone's experience is going to be exactly like mine, and mine is not like somebody else's. This was my personal journey and my personal experience, and this was the door that opened for me this way. That's my story, and a lot of you guys have also been asking about, like, what did I learn in acting school? What was that like? So the New York Conservatory is a 2-year film and television program. There's also an additional 3rd year that is just theater, which I personally didn't take. I only did the film and television program. But honestly, this was the best training that I ever had. I mean, of course, like every school, there was flaws and things that you don't agree with, but for the most part, I just completely transformed as an actor. Like, I went in thinking I was this shit. Like, I was used to getting lead roles in my theater and school, and I was just used to being like the best in the class or whatever. So I went in there thinking I was like hot shit, and literally I knew nothing about acting. Like, I knew nothing about acting. And they stripped me down of my ego and everything that I thought I knew acting was, and they just built me from the ground up. Just like layer by layer, built me into a truthful, real actor and not someone that's like acting, you know? So some of the classes that we take are scene study, Meisner technique, audition prep, actors lab, there's voice and speech, there's movement classes, there's film study. They pretty much equip you in every single department that you need, like every tool that you need to be a professional actor, they equip you with that. They teach you about voice techniques, speech. They teach you like movement and like how to breathe as an actor, and like scene study, acting with a camera for the first time. You know, just everything. It was so great. Like, honestly, I loved my experience so much. I would love to go back to school. It was just an all-around amazing experience. Another reason I highly recommend going to school first for acting is, me personally, I don't come from a lot of money at all. I have to work hard for what I want. It doesn't come easily for me. So the way that it worked for me is I went to acting school. I lived in the school dorms for 2 years. And during those 2 years, I got a job in a restaurant part-time. And I would go to school from like 9 to 5 p.m. and then I would go straight to work from like 6 to 1 a.m. And that was my life for 2 years. School, work. And I was just saving up a lot of money, saving up as much as I could. That way, after graduation, I had a little amount of money saved up. And also, when you go to school, you meet people and you make friends, and you have your own little clique. And so I moved into my very first apartment with my friends from school. There was 4 of us total, and so it was a 4-bedroom apartment, and we each split the rent equally. And that's kind of how I got my foot into the door, living by myself at such a young age in New York City. If you want to pursue acting professionally, you need training. You absolutely need training. You don't necessarily have to go to an acting conservatory or college, but you just need training of any kind. I would recommend, if you can't afford going to an acting school, literally just look up local classes near you. Like, sometimes there's classes that meet like once or twice a week for a couple months. There's even online classes. And if you just can't afford classes in general, because it can be a little bit expensive, it's definitely worth it though, but I understand that it can be expensive. So literally just look up YouTube videos. Like, there's so much available at our fingertips that there's honestly no excuse to not have any training. Just look up acting videos on YouTube. There's coaches and professionals and other people that are in the industry that share their experience, even give you advice. There's just so much available. I also like to watch the Actors Roundtable and Actors One-on-One. And if you don't already know what that is, it's pretty much all of your favorite actors and celebrities that you see on TV and movies. They come together and then they just talk to each other about their crafts and their experiences. It's so good. Like, I love watching that so much, and I highly recommend. An example that I like to give to people that are kind of like on the edge about training, think about it this way, okay? So imagine that there is just some random ass guy that's like, I want to be a professional football player. And he has no experience, he has no training, he's never played a football game a day in his life, but he's like, I want to go to the NFL and I want to be a professional, famous football player. What are the odds of that happening, right? Like, that person would need to train and to prepare, and he would need to join a team, even if it was a local. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he can't just be like, I want to be a famous professional football player, and then boom, it's gonna happen. Like, no, like, he has to have training. And it's the same thing for us actors. We have to have training. That's just how it goes. After I graduated, I got an associate's degree in film and television. So I do have a degree. I do have an AA. So after graduating, I felt completely lost, because when you're in school, it's just like you're grinding 24/7. Like, you're working on so many scenes and you're working on all these monologues and you're just always acting. Every single day you're acting, which is the dream. But after school, it's like nothing. Like there's no one there to push you. There's no one there to be like, yo, like this is your grade, come on, or it's just you. So it literally just felt like the safety net that I was in for those 2 years was just ripped out from under my feet. And I was like, what do I do? Where do I start? Like, what is happening? So the next thing that I did straight from school is I signed up for online casting sites. The ones that I personally use are Actors Access and Backstage. And there's so many others. Like you can research online. There's a lot of casting sites that you can choose from. Just so you know, they do cost money. It's the same thing as a membership, right? So like if you want to go to the gym, if you want to have Netflix and Hulu, you pay and you sign up for a membership because they're offering you a service that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. So it's the same thing with these online sites. They're offering you access to auditions in your area, access to agents and managers that you can reach out to. It's like a whole hub of information and just everything that you need in one service. So I would highly recommend looking into that. So yeah, I came out of school. I didn't have any headshots. I had a little bit on my resume, just I put all the training that I had on my resume and just all my theater experience in the past, and that's all I had on my resume, which wasn't much. And I had like a 30-second clip from my acting school on my reel, and that was that. And so for these casting websites that I told you about, you have to have a headshot, you have to have a reel, and you have to have a resume. Those are the 3 things that you have to have. If you don't have those things, if you're starting from square one and you absolutely don't have anything, there's things that you can do that you don't have to pay a bunch of money for. If you don't have headshots, you can have a family member or a friend or whoever take nice photos of you that has good lighting and a neutral background. If you can afford a professional photographer, more power to you. Like the more professional it looks, the better it is for you. But we all have to start from somewhere. So don't feel pressured. Start exactly from where you are. You're totally fine. So yeah, like have someone take nice photos of you. Like see right here, like this is good lighting. I'm sitting right in front of a giant open window and this is good lighting for me. If I was sitting in the shadows and it's like my eyes look dark and whatever. So look for good lighting and look for a neutral background like a wall, or you can go outside where you are the main center of focus. Nothing in the background that's distracting, or because the point is you, like a clear shot of you. We don't want something in the background that's gonna be like, oh, like what's this in the background of the photo, like don't cause any distractions. They want to see this, trust me. If you don't have a reel, that's also totally fine. All you have to do is film yourself doing 2 contrasting monologues. So show your range. Show maybe a monologue where you're like digging in deep and you're showing like just your heavy emotions, and then do a funny monologue to show like variety. Put together like a 30-second clip of each of those types of monologues and put it together and have that as your reel for now until you start getting booked, and then you can start getting footage from those professional gigs, and then your reel will build and get better from there. As for your resume, if you don't have any experience whatsoever, be honest exactly where you are. So let's say the only thing that I've ever done was church theater. Like my church put on a Christmas play and I was little baby Jesus, let's say, and that was that. You have to put exactly what you have. And if you have any form of training, put that too. So what they want to see is your name, your contact information. They want to see what training you've had. Like I said, training is very important because literally every acting audition that I have, they look at my training and they want to know like what school did I go to, what courses have I taken. It's very important. And they also want to see what skills you have, like if you can juggle, if you can speak 3 different languages, if you know how to rollerblade, like just any special skill that can help you with any type of job, because you never know, put it on the resume. I'll also put a link to my website and you guys can check out all of my materials. On my website, I have my headshots, I have my reel, and I have my resume, so you can kind of look at that for reference. Also, you don't necessarily have to be signed to an agency or management to get acting work. Me, for example, I'm currently not signed to anybody. I get all of my work by myself. I don't pay nobody. But it's my goal. Like I do want to get signed. But the next step would be for me to get signed. The way that you can get signed, you're like, how do I find an agency? Like, what do I do? You can always submit to any agency that you want to. You can either go to in-person or Zoom one-on-one sessions with agents and managers. Pretty much all you do is perform a monologue in front of them, and then they'll give you feedback, and if they like you, maybe they'll talk about signing you or having a meeting with them or something like that. So those are some ways that you can land representation. And I'll also link down some websites that offer those types of classes and meetings and stuff like that. Something that you should know, which should be common knowledge, but not everybody knows. Be aware of scam agencies. Trust me, I've been scammed before in the past. Please be aware that you never pay an agency up front. Never, okay? Never. You never pay them up front. The only time they make money is when you make money. So let's say that I signed with an agency and I booked a Target commercial. When I get paid for that Target commercial, I'll give them a percent, whatever you guys agreed on, whether that's 10 or 20 or 30%, whatever you guys agreed upon, that's when they get paid, is when I get paid. They don't get paid otherwise, right? So if you, let's say, sign up for an agency and you have a meeting with them and you're like, yes, like this is it, I'm gonna get signed. And they're like, okay, well, you have to pay us $2,000 because we have to take headshots of you and we're not gonna accept the ones that you already have. We're not gonna sign you otherwise unless you pay us this money. Run! I literally fell for something like that. Like, I'm so embarrassed, but I was a newbie. I think I was like 17 or 18 at the time. And yeah, it was a scam. All that to say is do your research. If you're interested in an agency, if you find an agency that you really like online, research them, read reviews, because that's a great way to find out if people have been scammed in the past and what they think about it. Please do your research before you continue forward with an agency. That's very important. So to kind of wrap things up, because I already feel like this video is going to be an hour long. So if you're a completely new actor and you don't have any experience or any materials whatsoever, let's do a quick recap. First of all, I highly recommend training of any kind that you can get, whether it's YouTube videos or an acting school. Take the time and get training done. So that's number one. Number two is signing up for these casting sites, because those are going to be your access to local auditions and things that are filming in your area that you normally wouldn't have access to otherwise. Number three is getting your headshots, your reel, and your resume. And I already told you, if you can't afford paying a professional for those things, there's things that you can do by yourself for free to use for now until you can have professional material. And number three, never ever ever give up on your dream. Take it from me, I've been pursuing this dream for my whole life, but I guess professionally after I graduated, it's been 7 years now. It's honestly a process. Like, sometimes it seems like I'm living my dream and I'm getting all of these auditions and I'm getting booked and I'm on set for a couple of weeks and it just seems like I'm living the dream and I made it. And then other times it's like a drought. There's nothing. I'm like submitting to auditions. I don't hear anything back. I'm not booking anything. It just seems like there's a drought. And that's just how it is, to be very, very blunt. It's gonna be a lot of highs and lows. It's gonna be a lot of heartbreaks and being so excited and then having your heart broken again. And it's a lot of that. I'm sure you heard the saying, you have to have a thick skin. You have to have a really thick skin, because it's not an easy dream to pursue, but I'm talking to us dreamers out there. There's nothing else in the world that we want to do. This is it. There's nothing else in the world. And we have to fight for what we love and we have to fight for what we want. And I have always told myself that I would rather try and fail than to live my life in regret, thinking like, oh man, I wonder what would have happened. And like, man, I should have done that. I should have done this. No. I've had the time of my life living in New York City. I've met the most amazing people. I've experienced things that I would have never experienced otherwise. And there's nothing to regret. So let's say I pursue this for another 10 years and nothing happens and I never get to be where I want to be, I still win and I still lived out my dream because I still got to be an actress. I still got to be on set. I still got to share stories with people and meet new people and just, I've lived the dream, even though I may not be famous or well known, but honestly, if you love it, those aren't the reasons that you're doing it anyways. I just encourage you to be strong, to never give up, keep fighting the good fight. Don't be discouraged. I know starting out seems so overwhelming, but just take one step at a time. I started out exactly where you are right now. And I mean, look at me now, but I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm just saying like, I've grown so much in those past few years and I still have so much more to grow. Trust me, I still have so much more to grow and so much more to learn and experience. But I'm just saying that to encourage you that we all have to start from somewhere. So don't be discouraged, don't be overwhelmed. Start from exactly where you are right now in this very moment. So that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope this helps. I hope I didn't miss anything and I hope that I covered all of your questions and things that you were wondering about. Honestly, I wish I had a video like this when I was first starting out, so y'all are lucky. All right, my fellow dreamers, don't give up, keep going, keep dreaming.